Good evening. This is BelGeode, and we are back with some more Microsoft Flight Simulator. And tonight, we're taking a look at a fighter jet that I'm sure most of you are very, very familiar with. Of course, I am talking about the F-15 Eagle, and this particular one is by DC Designs. Now, there's been a lot of buzz about this one, both good and both bad, so we're going to get the disclaimers out of the way right now. Yes, I know it's not DCS level simulation. However, considering the fact that the DCS version of the F-15 is Flaming Cliffs level and not F-14 Tomcat level, I can forgive that because I don't expect this thing to be in-depth and quote unquote study level as some people seem to want. Second thing, yes, I do have the DCS F-15, and as a matter of fact, if you look on this very channel, some of my older DCS videos, I have an entire series of me flying the DCS F-15, both in combat and not in combat. So yeah, you can always refer to those videos if you want to see me flying the DCS F-15. Now, since we're in Microsoft Flight Simulator, one of the reasons why I am supporting this particular developer, aside from the fact that they're planning on making an F-14 Tomcat, is the fact that they are pushing the envelope, so to speak, to the point where Microsoft, well, actually more Asobo, have actually revised their flight model. Prior to this aircraft being introduced, you really couldn't fly past Mach 1. They've since changed that. So, because of work from this developer and other developers out there, they were able to get Asobo to pay attention to the fact that some of us would like to actually fly faster than the speed of sound. And that sort of thing has been incorporated into this aircraft. So, there we go. And of course, the other major reason why I love flying aircraft like this, despite the fact that there is no combat whatsoever in Microsoft Flight Simulator, that's okay. In DCS, I can't exactly fly the flight plan that we are planning on flying today. But before we get to that flight plan, let's take a look at the aircraft itself. So we'll hop up here. We'll wait for that to pop up. Okay, so we'll start on the weight and balance page since that's where we're at right now. And you'll notice that I've got a fair amount of gas for this trip. And you'll also notice the external tank 2 is at 0. The way that this aircraft works, the models for the external tanks will appear or disappear depending on how much fuel you have in them. So what we're going to be seeing when we actually see this aircraft is we're going to see the centerline drop tank, which has 85% fuel in there. We will not be seeing the wing pylon tanks, however, because I have those set to 0. And then, of course, we've got fuel in the bird itself, so I highly doubt that we should run out of gas for our little journey here. Now, the other things to pay attention to are these right here. You'll notice that on the left side, it tells you what goes where and how much it weighs. So you add in the corresponding weight in order to make those bits of ordnance appear. This works for the Charlie model as well as the Delta, the Echo, and the India models. All 4 models are included with this. So you'll notice that I have weights in here, 380 pounds each. What this means is that on the wing pylons, on both sides of the vertical pylon, we are going to see 2 Sidewinder missiles flanking that pylon on either side of the aircraft. If I wanted to, I could add things like the AIM-7 or the AIM-120, but it's kind of overkill. We're just doing a joyride today, so we'll just take these for defense, because you never know, we might run into some kind of enemy. I highly doubt it, but it looks cool. We're just going to go with that. It looks cool. And we'll pop over to liveries real quick. So you got several liveries, but they're kind of difficult to see in the thumbnail here. But it does tell you at the bottom which squadrons are represented. And right now, they're just the basic squadrons. The one that we're going to be using is the 173rd Fighter Squadron, which is actually the Oregon Air National Guard. That happens to be one of my favorite squadrons when it comes to F-15s. Pretty much both of the squadrons, I think, that are in Oregon, in particular the Red Hawks. This one is not the Red Hawks, however. But that's what we're going to be using, which will kind of look a little out of place considering where we're going, but I like it, so we'll work with it. Of course, the other versions of the F-15 do have their own liveries. One thing that I am really hoping to see, I'm hoping to see somebody, and I'm just going to throw this out to the community there, I'm hoping to see somebody make what I consider the 3 most popular F-15s of all time. Those of you who remember the cartoon Transformers will know exactly who I'm talking about. Starscream, Thundercracker, and Skywarp. So, if you have that wild bug up your butt and decide that you want to create those 3 liveries, please let me know in the comments. If you have, I will be more than happy to download all 3 of those liveries and fly them around Microsoft Flight Simulator. So, yeah, take that, those who love realism. All right, so that is it for the F-15 for now. And I have set up, I would say, specific weather conditions. I have Hawaiian broken clouds, which actually clues you in on where we're going. So I have everything set up in a manner to where we will have a pretty awesome looking flight, or at least I hope it will. My whole goal here is to do some cloud surfing and so on and so forth. So everything's set up, and I set the time for 3:05. Can't see any players because honestly, everybody and their brother is flying either an F-15 or a Spitfire right now. So I really don't want to see everybody in there. I want to be able to focus on flying and talking to you. And then, of course, for the AI, I just have it set up as basic. All right, now let's get to the flight plan. So we're going to zoom into Mother Earth here. And as you can see, we are in the idyllic islands of Hawaii. So here's our starting point. Barking Sands Air Base. Now, I don't remember if this is considered a Navy or Marine Corps base or if it actually is an Air Force base, but the fact that it is military altogether is the main reason why we're using this. Plus, I like the way the runway is laid out. So we're going to take off. We're going to do some shenanigans over the island of Kauai. We're going to follow the mountains and the rivers and all that good stuff. We'll pass by Princeville on the northern side of the island, and then we'll pass by the main airport of Liyue. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly. Maybe I'm not. And then we're going to cross the waters here, 149 nautical miles. Woo! I'm pretty sure it's shorter than that. I think that's our total distance. And we're going to head to Oahu. We're going to overfly Dillingham Airfield, and of course, we'll do some more shenanigans there. We'll head over to Kaneohe Bay, which is the big Marine Corps air station over in Oahu. And then we'll head to the southern side of the island. We'll check out downtown, and we will finally bring her in at John Rogers Field, which I believe is an Air Force base on the southern side of Oahu. All right, so now you have an idea what we're doing. Let's hop into the F-15 and we'll check out if DC Designs was able to do some justice to the flight model and to the modeling of the aircraft. Just a reminder, this is not DCS. Do not expect DCS. However, for what it is, I think it's worth flying. So, let's find out right now. All right, and here we are inside the office of the F-15 Eagle. And as you can see from the little outside view there, it actually looks pretty good. They did a pretty decent job on the textures. There are some areas that you will see a little bit later on in the external camera that could use a little bit more refinement as far as getting rid of the jagged lines and so on and so forth. But overall, I would say they did a pretty decent job representing what an F-15 looks like. You may notice there's GA here. Unfortunately, with any military airbase in Microsoft Flight Simulator, it doesn't recognize it as an actual military airbase, so you're going to find stuff like that or like that around here. So we're just going to let that slide for the time being. Just don't hit my tail. That's all I ask, buddy. Don't hit my tail. This is a very expensive bird. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get everything started up here. And the first thing that I do want to say, as far as this aircraft goes, even though it's not very in depth, the developer did at least take the time to give you somewhat of a start sequence. So it has that feel, if you will, of actually starting up an F-15. But it's really a no-brainer. It's pretty easy, as you're going to see. We're going to go ahead and get started on that right now. All right, so the first thing that we want is going to be our batteries. We'll turn that on. We'll also get our avionics on. And we'll also get the lights on because it is afternoon and it is a little bit cloudy, and I kind of like being able to see in the cockpit. So we'll go ahead and do that really quick here. All right, let's head over to the left side. We want our position lights on. And we should probably get our strobes on so that way everyone knows that we're about to start up in a couple of minutes here. And let's see, fuel we will need, so we'll get the right and the left on. There we go. We'll worry about the inlets a little bit later. The inlets are the trademark strakes that you see right there that will go up or down depending on how fast you're going. All right, but we're pretty much set for an engine start, and I'm going to highlight one of the things that I really enjoy about this aircraft, and that is the sound set. This is the third iteration of this bird, and I have to say they are finally getting someplace with it as far as the sound goes. I will show you right now as we start up engine number 2. Now remember, since it is MSFS, everything is a work in progress, especially the SDK or software developers kits. So some things may not quite match up just yet, but as the sim itself matures, you'll find that things will get tweaked and adjusted to where they will actually be a bit more realistically represented. There are some issues with the sound, as you may notice in a moment, as soon as our APU stops doing its thing and the engine actually lights off, which is about to happen right now. Okay, so we have a good light off on engine 2. Let's go ahead and get engine 1 ready. You notice that little jump in the sound? That was what I was talking about. That is, of course, not accurate, but that's kind of what we've got to deal with the SDK for this sim. I'm sure that'll be rectified at some point in time. So we're waiting for engine 1 to light off, which it should do any moment. All right, looks like we've got a good start on engine 1. So while that spools up, we'll close our canopy. And you'll notice the sound changes, which is always cool whenever developers do that. Let's get our HUD up and running. And I feel like I should talk a little bit about this HUD. So right now I am using, I believe it's called DLAA for my anti-aliasing. There is an issue currently with Microsoft Flight Simulator using the TAA setting for your anti-aliasing. It makes this HUD do some weird stuff. So be advised, if you are using this aircraft, you want to make sure that your anti-aliasing in the sim is set to DLAA. And that way your HUD will look exactly like mine does. All right, our altimeter says we're at 170 feet, and I know that's incorrect, so let's fix that. 25 feet, perfect, that's what I was looking for. Okay, so we've got everything up and running. Let me get our landing lights on here. And we'll also turn on our inlets. There we go. Both of them should be on. So you'll notice that the inlet actually dipped down a little bit. It's not perfectly level. That's what it's supposed to do. That's exactly what it's supposed to do. Okay, so we're pretty much set to go. Let me just call the tower really quick here. And we're going to tell them we're departing straight out.
Parking Sands ground November 70 Alpha Golf Bravo request taxi for takeoff departing straight out. November 70 Alpha Golf Bravo taxi to and hold short of runway 16 using taxiway Alpha. Contact tower on 126.2 when ready.
All right, sounds good to me.
Taxi to and hold short runway 16 using taxiway Alpha Golf Bravo.
Okay, so we can close that out. Runway 16 is conveniently right over there, so we really don't have too far to go. We'll just need to work our way around this TBM here, and we'll taxi over that way. So let me get our parking brakes off, and we'll go to the outside view for this taxi. Okay, so thankfully we really don't have too long of a taxi, so we can take a look at Barking Sands, and I would say this is pretty decently modeled, aside from the fact that there's no military jets here whatsoever. I've never seen the real place, so I really can't tell. I could probably just Google like pictures of the airbase just to see if they have the tower correct and all of that. But I'm not even going to bother. It passes, as far as I'm concerned, simply because it kind of has that airbasey feel to it from some of the air bases that I've been to anyway. All right, here is our hold short, so we'll gently tap on the brakes here. We'll put the parking brakes back on. This is an F-15. F-15s are notoriously spindle when it comes to the gear. They're very spindly, I should say. So be careful when taxiing. It is pretty easy to slip and slide all over the place if you add too much power. So you just barely want to touch it and then pull it all the way back to idle in order to move off. Okay, so tower.
Barking Sands Tower November 70 Alpha Golf Bravo ready for departing straight out at runway 16.
I'm going to set my trim while I'm at it. Okay, good deal.
Cleared for takeoff runway 16 Alpha Golf Bravo.
All right, so you saw outside that we had the landing gear view. We're going to switch to that on our takeoff roll, so that way I can show you the gear coming up. I love those kinds of external static shots, but I should mention something since I brought that up. Currently, the external camera setup for this aircraft is not what you are seeing in this video. Now, I modified the cameras.cfg file because, well, I like tweaking stuff like that. And I have sent a copy of what I have done to the developer. So it is possible that the developer may include it in the next iteration of this bird. But just be advised, you probably won't see things exactly the same way that I'm seeing it in this jet. All right, let's go ahead and get ourselves set up. We've got a long runway overrun, so we've got plenty of distance. There is a very slight crosswind here, so hopefully that should not work too hard against me. But you know what it's time for. Brakes down, throttles up. Let's get our RPM up to 80. Looking good, feeling good. And full mill, brakes off. Slight adjustments with rudder, and we're looking for about 135 to 140 knots for takeoff. And it's an eagle, we're already there. Okay, let's rotate. Just like that, we are up and already at 350 knots. Holy crap. All right, let me go ahead and acknowledge her. Frequency change approved, got it. And that is the last time that we will speak to that tower. All right, let's do some cloud busting here. Now, you can't tell me that this is not a most awesome feeling. Just being able to bust through the clouds in a fighter jet, that's what flying's all about, really. Although I am a little bit biased since I do love military aircraft. All right, let's go to the outside view and do a little bit of shenanigans here. All right, so we are under the cloud deck and we are going to be heading inland. I want to do some low-level mountain flying, and I think this is the perfect aircraft to do that with. I haven't yet tried the Mach Loop in Wales, but that's on my list of things to do at some point in time as well. All right, there's the airport that I use as a marker, so we're going to follow this river in, and this should be pretty cool. Let me just set my trim really quick here. And to help us out with our navigation, I am enlisting the aid of the Vfr Maps. So we'll pull that open, and I think we can probably just kind of hide it off to the side here. So right about here should be good. All right, so there's our river. Let's go ahead and make our turn. And we'll check this out. Listen to the way the sounds change too. See, that's the kind of stuff that I really admire. As much as I think the flight model is pretty decent for the kind of aircraft that this is, the sounds are really what does it for me. All right, coming around, and we'll go back to the outside view for some shenanigans. Okay, we are over the top at 19,000 feet, or Angels 19. So we're going to bring it back down. I need to locate the river that we're going to follow to the northern side of the island. I want to say it's over in that direction, but let me just zoom out the map really quick. Okay, yes, we need to make a left-hand turn here. And it is over that side. Of course, we got all these clouds in the way, so that may make things a little bit difficult for me. But we are in full control of this bird, so we should be able to pull it off. We just need to head in this direction. We're looking for the river at 12 o'clock. That's the one that I want to follow. Go ahead and pull the power back a bit here. Aha! That's our canyon. That's what we're looking for. Okay, back to the outside view we go. Okay, so we are getting close to our first waypoint. We're going to need to make a right here. Let me just trim us up just a touch here. So far, she actually handles pretty well, considering the fact that it is MSFS, which is not designed for fighter jets. I'd say they did a pretty decent job, though. All right, so we're going to overfly Princeville Airport. And you know what? Let's do it past the speed of sound. We're at Mach 0.8 right now. love it. I love it. This is what this bird is famous for, being able to go into a vertical climb and gain about 35,000 feet in a few seconds. That is just awesome. Look at that. This, folks, is why I absolutely love flying in VR. Impressive. And this is what MSFS was made for. Absolutely incredible. All right, we're going to turn around this way because we need to pass by the main airport on this island, and then we are going to head to Oahu, do some more shenanigans there. Yeah, look at that coastline. And of course, if you've updated your Microsoft Flight Simulator, you now know that they have made some changes to the water masking along the shores. So you should actually be seeing better beaches and better shallow water in a lot of areas around the world. I guess it really depends on what kind of information they have in Bing Maps, since that's where they're sourcing all of their ortho photos from. But overall, I would say it is really starting to shape up for a sim that's only been out for a few months now. One thing I am going to do, however, let's see if we can climb up to about Angels 20. We're at Angels 18 right now. And then we'll activate the autopilot. So we get that on there. And that should put us in a pretty steady climb. We're going to need to turn to the right slightly to follow our magenta line, but you can see leeway right down there. Again, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly. I've never been to Hawaii, so I have no clue about these things. All right, let's actually, you know what? Before we make a right turn here, let me set ourselves up on a heading hold, which I set to Control H. So there we go. You'll see we're following that triangle there, and we do need to swing out to the right. So we'll go due south for now. That'll be 180 degrees. There we go. All right, it's going to take a little while for us to turn, but that will give me the opportunity to go back to the outside view and show you what it looks like outside. Okay, so we're just about where we need to be, so we need to quickly make a left-hand turn. So we're going to pull it back to roughly about 90-ish degrees. And of course, it will take a little while to make this turn, but that's okay. There we go. And then we're going to cross the waters and head to Oahu. Really glad that they fixed the pixelation issues that MSFS was having with these clouds. I actually have my clouds set to medium, so that's why they're not as sharp as they could be. But I find medium to be a pretty good balance as far as the looks of the clouds versus the performance of the clouds. I could jack it up a little bit higher, considering the fact that we are at Angels 21 right now. But I think this looks pretty decent. I mean, I'm not really looking for ultra sharp clouds right now. You can if you want to, but this is fine for me. All right, let's see how we're doing on our turn here. We still got a little ways to go. All right, let me zoom out a couple of notches so that way I can at least make sure we are headed in the right direction. Okay, looking good and feeling good. So, Let me adjust our turn just a little bit here. I think now would be a good time to go to about 95 degrees. Yeah, that should work. And that should intercept our course where we're trying to get to. One thing you may notice, the mouse cursor on your screen, unfortunately I don't have a way of removing that from the recording. I'm using AMD Relive, which is the built-in video recorder in my graphics card, which is an AMD Radeon 7. So unfortunately, it'll capture the mouse, and you'll notice that there may be multiple mouse pointers. That is just one of those things that we've got to deal with Microsoft Flight Simulator until they make it so that we have a proper single view mirror. And by that I mean one eye instead of two. But I'm doing a little bit of editing tricks here in order to bump this down to one eye at a 16.9 ratio, or 16:9 ratio. All right, let's go back outside and check out the birds some more as we make our way to Dillingham. Okay, welcome back, and we are getting closer to Oahu, as you can see on our little VFR map here. The main reason why I'm using the VFR map is the DDI functionality is incomplete. However, with that having been said, to be honest with you, I don't believe that the F-15 has capability to do a moving map. I think that is relegated to some newer aircraft. But suffice to say, this is the only screen that I've been able to locate on this so far. I don't know, I haven't really played with it, to be honest with you. The RWR also does not function. Basically, all the RWR does is show you any IFF contacts that are around you. Typically, it's used to identify friend or foe aircraft, but I would assume for MSFS, if we were able to get that functionality, it'll probably just show us other players or AI. But again, not something that's been implemented, and I don't even think the developers at Asobo had even thought about that as an option. Alright, so since we are getting close to Dillingham, I'm going to go ahead and turn off our autopilot right now. And we are going to head outside, take it to the deck. Alrighty folks, welcome to Oahu. Dillingham is the airport that is right over there where it seems to be the most disturbed as far as surf and wake goes. So we're just going to kind of skirt along the coastline here, and we are going to overfly Dillingham, and I think we're going to see if we could do it above Mach 1. Right about Mach 1 right now. I would say that we can get a little bit faster than that. However, I'm going to want to pull up before we hit these mountains up ahead. So there we go, Mach 1.1. We do have a lot of fuel on board, so obviously that is causing us a little bit more drag. And we're going to flip around here. Right about there should be good. Perfect. Look at that. Look how peaceful everything looks up here. That is just impressive. So we got the little wind turbine farms down there. One thing I do notice, Microsoft and Asobo, you've got the wind turbines on the Orthils. I'm glad that you put the models there, but somebody could have erased the little wind turbines on the Orthils themselves there. Anyway, if that's the worst I can complain about today, we'll let it slide. All right, next stop is going to be Kaneohe Bay, so we're going to pop over these mountains here and we'll go under these clouds. We're almost done with our journey here. As soon as we buzz the Marines, we're going to head to the southern side of the island, check out Honolulu, and we might even pay a visit to the Arizona Memorial. So we are at full mill right now, and as soon as I get over the water, we'll go ahead and pop it back into full burn. Actually, let me see how we're doing in gas here. 18,000 pounds. Yeah, we're doing great. We're definitely doing great. Make no bones about it, folks. This does feel really good. If you are a fighter jet fan, I would highly recommend this bird for you. If you're interested in just tooling around MSFS in something a little bit faster than a commercial plane or a biz jet, this is one that you really want to pay attention to. I think they did a pretty decent job on that, and it's only getting better. Alright, so I hope you had a good look at Kaneohe Bay. We're going to head over this way because there is a caldera that I'm using as a landmark, and we want to kind of go around that. So let's make sure we are over the mountains here that divide the northern half of Oahu from the southern half. And there you can start to see Honolulu. Looking beautiful. Okay, we need to be a little bit further to this way. So we're going to head out here. And I do believe that is the caldera I'm looking for. So we'll turn around here and then we'll head back towards Honolulu. Actually, no, this is not the caldera. This is just the mountain point or hill, I guess, at the end of Oahu. And you can see what I was talking about with the water masking. All of that is brand new. That was not there prior to the latest version of Microsoft Flight Simulator. All right, there's our caldera. go back to the outside view. We'll forego going supersonic right now. We'll just kind of keep it below speed or below supersonic speed, but we will check out Honolulu itself on our way in. All right, so there we have Honolulu International Airport. Normally, this is a hotbed of player traffic, but since I have players disabled currently, we won't be seeing any. We may see some AI, however, so I'm just going to skirt over to the right side of this runway, which is usually the active runway here. We can take a quick look at that. So we got 26 left. Other side should be, what, 4 right? There you can see some AI. Yep, I do believe I was correct. Oh, no, I'm incorrect. 8 right. Whoops. Okay. Now, the Arizona Memorial is right over there, so let's take a quick look at it before we enter the traffic pattern and begin our landing at John Rogers. And you know what? Let's go to the underbelly camera here. I'm really hoping a certain Microsoft developer that I know has gotten his hands on this aircraft, because I think, out of all people, he might be able to appreciate the work that DC Designs has done with this thing. So if you're watching this video, please let me know if you already have this aircraft and what you think about it. What's your opinion of it? All right, we're pretty much where we need to be, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the VFR map. I won't need it to find the airport here, but we are going to start losing a bit of airspeed, and we will call a tower. Nearest airport, that's what we want, John Rogers Field. And we're going to tune the traffic. I already know what the weather is, so I'm not going to worry about that. And I want 4 right. See, that's why I had 4 stuck in my head. I was thinking this airport. Announce full stop landing and announce position.
Kauai Loa traffic November 70 Alpha Golf Bravo 4 miles east 1,600 feet inbound to land runway 4 right.
Okay, so that is the airbase that we're landing at, and the runway that we're looking for is currently parallel to our path. We are downwind, and it's the one on the closer side to us, so technically it would be the right side. All right, what's our speed? 311. As a quick note for DC Designs, one thing that you may want to consider developing in future is the use of the DDI. Even though I don't 100% recall if the F-15 has a capability of replicating the HUD there, assuming that it does, Can you please see if you can make it so that we can see it there, so that when I'm in a situation like this where I can't see a dang thing out of the HUD, I can at least be able to tell what's going on through the DDI. Of course, if I were smart, I would just simply use the airspeed indicator right there and the altimeter right there, and that should tell me everything I need to know. But it's me. All right, we're about far enough out, so let's get our speed brakes out. And we're going to go ahead and bring it down below 250. Start getting some flaps and gear out here. Okay, there is our airport over there. We'll go ahead and tell them we're on final now, even though we're not exactly on final.
Kauai low traffic November 70 Alpha Golf Bravo is on final runway for right to land.
We will be soon enough. All right, we'll continue on our base leg here. Let me get flaps down too. Okay, we've got full flaps. Now, as far as I am aware, the update is in that fixed the bad flaps bug that we had where everybody was all floaty. But with that having been said, it is still, in my opinion, a little bit floaty. What I'm doing right now is I'm trimming so that our flight path marker is inside the AOA bracket. And hopefully, once we get on speed here, we should be in a good place to bring this bird down. I think I just passed up our runway, however, so I'm going to need to make a turn. Now you can also punch in the nav frequency for the runway. Right now it's tracking, I believe, Honolulu International. I forget which runway it's tracking right now, but you will see the ILS bars that'll come up on the HUD, and that will also help you as far as coming into land. Right now we should be pretty good where we are. Let me give it a little bit more trim. AOA indexer can use some more adjustment there. All right, there we go. Now we've got a really good angle and I have a really good shot at the runway. So let's go to the outside view. We'll make sure we're lined up properly. We'll keep our speed up so we don't fall out of the sky. Okay, and we are on short final. We're a little low as far as the glide slope goes, but I think we can pull this off. I'm gonna see if I can remember how to do the aerodynamic braking, but that is always kind of a ballet, making sure that you pull out your speed brakes in time. We're a little bit to the left of where I would like to be, so let's fix that. We do have a long enough runway though, so we should be able to stop without any problems. All right, let's bring her in. We'll start our flare. We're down. Speed brakes out. We'll hold the nose up for a bit. And we'll bring her down. There we go. And that's it. Look at that. Whew. That is awesome. That is really awesome. Okay, brakes on. And we're going to close our speed brakes. We'll go to the outside view as we taxi in. Okay, and I forget exactly where I chose as a parking spot, so we're just going to pretty much designate our own spot. Right about here should do. So we'll make the turn. There we go. And we'll pull up right about here. All right, so there you have it, folks. This is the DC Designs F15. This particular one is the Charlie model. You do get the Delta model, the Echo model, that is affectionately known as the Beagle or the Strike Eagle. And also, you get the India model, which I believe is Israel's Air Force F 15 Eagles. All right, so like I said, I know it's not DCS, but you know what? For what it is, I think this is actually a pretty good aircraft. You can do a lot of fun shenanigans with it, which honestly is really the only thing that I ask for in an aircraft. I just want to be able to fly around the world in something that I find pretty unique and interesting. And this certainly does fit the bill. I can tell you this, though, I cannot wait to see how the F-14 plays out that DC Designs is currently working on. I have heard that he would like me to help out as far as being on the beta test team, and I really look forward to that, considering the fact that my favorite aircraft is the F-14. And of course, I realize it's probably not going to be up to the same standards as the heat blur simulations F-14 for DCS, but you know what? That's fine because I know a lot of you have been asking me if I'm ever going to continue the whole Tomcattery across the USA series with Ali. Well, let's put it this way. If I get an F-14 worth flying in Microsoft Flight Simulator, you can bet your sweet bippy we will be having some more Tomcattery across the USA. All right, let's go ahead and get our power down. There we go. And we'll turn off our nav lights. All right, well, there is really not much more that I have to say about this bird. It is a really awesome bird. And considering the limitations that Microsoft Flight Simulator has, I would say that DC Designs pulled it off. Each update that they make to this thing, it's getting better and better. And of course, there are still some visual and audio glitches, and the flight model can still use a little bit of tuning. But overall, I really love the direction it's heading, and my purple hat goes off to DC Designs for pulling off something that most people didn't expect would be done so soon. Alrighty, folks, that's about all I've got for show and tell. Thank you as always for watching. This has been BelGeode. I have been flying in Microsoft Flight Simulator. And just to remind you, this has been the DC Designs F15, which I do honestly highly recommend if you are into modern fighter jets, or, well, I guess Gen 4. We'll consider that modern in the broad scope. In any event, go ahead and pick this one up. The link is in the video description below. Let me know how you like it. And just a reminder, if you happen to make the Starscream, Thundercracker, and Skywarp Transformers livery for this thing, please let me know. I want that badly. Alrighty, folks, if you enjoyed what you've seen, please feel free to give me a like. Don't forget to subscribe if you have not already. And I will catch you on the next one. Ciao.